Hey, y'all, welcome to Geek Freaks. I am Frank, and today I'm joined by Thomas.
What's going on, everybody?
We're going to be talking about quite a bit today, including Unreal Engine's new moves with Fortnite, which is unbelievable. Marvel's big problem with Victoria Alonso. Shazam, and the situation going on over there that might be shaking DC at its roots. But let's get started with a question right out the box. Thomas, we as geeks, we have an appreciation for tabletop games. What is your favorite board game or tabletop game?
I like how you said we're going to start with a question right out of the box because I was like, that's so fitting
Ah?
for for tabletop board games. But yeah, I have to say, Settlers of Catan. Yeah, I'm going with that.
Why is that like it's one that's mine too? Why is that like so good? I can't really fully pick it.
Because I mean, it has everything. It has, these minerals that you have to get or items, but you're trying to get resources, but also team up with people, but also you can
Hmm.
double cross people. It's a perfect game. For me, I love it. It just takes so damn long.
It takes a long time. I think it's also just complex enough to where it's not like a board game that you have to play with kids, but also easy enough for new members to jump in and get involved with right away.
It's a good
When
point.
some of these thick boys are like, okay, here's the book. I'll see you next month. Let's get started on this thing.
Right.
They're a little extensive. I like it, and there's building factor too. I think building for some reason for some of us kind of just triggers something,
Yeah.
and that's fun.
Adult
Figure
Legos
that
always
out.
works, man.
That's why Minecraft's a hit all these years later.
Yeah.
I am also a fan of D&D, which I started during the pandemic, and we'll be starting a new campaign with a couple of the boys from the podcast network. Um, and basically, it's going to be a drink fest. We're going to be playing characters in between.
Oh,
Uh,
s- sign me up. I want to join too.
we're doing it in person, Thomas. So you got to come up here every month.
All right, just gotta fly up to NorCal. I'll be there.
I'm the DM, and I'm already like drawing maps and stuff like that, and designing the story. I've been working on it for a bit now. It's gonna be fun.
Nice.
I'm thinking about getting like this is so stupid, but this is just how hardcore I go on everything. I'm thinking about getting like panels that look like dungeon walls for the dining room, so we can go full on like dungeon master.
Epic. You're gonna feel like you're in a lair. It's gonna be
Yeah.
great.
Over on Twitter, we asked this question, and we had Jay Hall who says, "We're real big fans of Ticket to Ride at my house. I've seen this box. Have you played Ticket to Ride before?"
No, I don't think I've heard of it.
Yeah, he says that it's simple enough for anyone to play, but has plenty of strategy for those who like to go hard on it. I have seen it, but haven't gotten my hands on it yet. I'll have to check that out.
I'm definitely checking that out. Yeah.
We have one of our podcast friends mention Killin' Missin' Hidden podcast, true crime podcast. So I'm a fan already. They said legendary Marvel, love it, an impossible number of configurations to play. I pulled this game up. I've never even seen this before, but on the cover has like OG Avengers with Wolverine and Iron Man and Spider Man in it, so super dope. But yeah, this looks dope. I have to check this thing out. 600 cards in there, all kinds of different variations.
Wow, sign me up. That sounds like right out of my alley. That's awesome.
Yeah. And then Grim Tales, they said shoots and ladders, so you can't go wrong with shoots and ladders. That's classic.
Classic. There you go. Yeah, I could have been like Candyland. That would be
Yeah.
great.
Oh man. Yeah. So let us know, guys. We do a question every week over on our Twitter account. Go over there and get your response in. We'll read it on the podcast as well. This episode is brought to you by our Patreon. This week we have a brand new From the Pages coming out over for our Patreon. It is Patreon and Bitkit exclusive. It's going to be all about the Dark Saber. You know it's going to be important in The Mandalorian. You might as well learn about its history. Let's get started with the news. First up, we're getting a video game adaptation of The Last Ronin. It's a TMNT story. It's a graphic novel. It's getting developed. Now, they're saying this is going to be like God of War. Have you heard about The Last Ronin before?
Oh yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. As soon as that graphic novel came out, I mean, there was mystery around who was the last Ronin out of the
Yeah.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So yeah, I think that was big news. Was it last year or like 2 years ago? Can't remember.
Yeah, who it was? It's so funny. There was such a big mystery about it that when I'm writing the article about the game, I was like, should I type the name?
Yeah, yeah.
And so for like the social media post, I didn't say who it was, but in the
Nice.
article, I say like, today right now I'm not even saying his name because I don't feel comfortable saying because it was such a big
Yeah,
deal.
that
You
is.
know?
I mean, like that is kind of the whole point of maybe not the whole point, but that's a big mystery as to who is the last remaining turtle out of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So, yeah, yeah, that reveal is the whole thing.
Yeah, so guys, check that out. I'll put a link in the description. We're going to put links in the description to all our recommendations and some of the things we're talking about. I already shared this one on social media. I'll share it again. The Last Ronin. The important thing is figuring out who it is, one of the important things, and how their personalities changed over time, which I think is really cool. Next, the Daniels from Everything Everywhere All at Once. They're just monsters right now. They're joining for an episode of the Skelton Crew. Interesting fact here, the show's already shot, so I think this is going to be a filler episode they're filming. To me, it's weird.
Interesting. I'm
Yeah.
excited about it. I love the Daniels. I'm so pumped for, everything they won for Everything Everywhere All at Once. And having them in Star Wars, hell yes.
It's a no-brainer right there. And Skeleton Crew itself looks good. I mean, they keep saying it's like, oh yeah, it's like a Spielberg, The Goonies. Okay, just take my money then. I'm here.
Right. All the buzzwords.
Yeah. Ghostbusters Afterlife sequel is officially underway. They released a set photo. The code name for this thing is Firehouse. I think that makes a dope-ass name for a Ghostbusters, like Ghostbusters Firehouse.
Yeah. Interesting. So many mysteries. Awesome name. I'm sure they're going to do a great job because the last movie is really good.
Yeah, they're filming it in the UK, but it's gonna be centered around the New York Firehouse, which is a real place. I think they're recreating it in the UK.
Ooh, that's awesome.
I want to go to the UK. Maybe this will be a reason. If you guys want to invite me to your set, I would be okay with that. By the way, I'll go pub hopping and then come visit the set.
Yeah, there you go. Get some Boddingtons.
Yeah, there you go. John Spatz to write the Netflix adaptation of Gears of War. So far, it sounds like they're going to be following the first game. We don't have a lot of casting for this. I think it's Dave Bautista that's really pushing big on this. But,
Yes.
I mean, Gears of War is such a perfect story to tell for Netflix. I mean, super binge worthy, big special effects. I can't wait for this thing. We have Valve is confirming Counter-Strike 2 is coming this summer, 2023, and is a massive upgrade technically. One thing I really like they're doing is because like Counter-Strike fans have been playing Counter-Strike for over 10, maybe 20 years,
Hmm.
and the maps they love the most, they're making almost no changes to. And the maps they play the least, they're doing full reworks on. So it's kind of like we're not going to mess up anything you love, and we're only going to improve the things you're not fans of. I think that's a smart move all around.
Yeah, super smart. Makes total sense.
Yeah. Next, Apple is investing $1 billion a year into releasing movies into theaters. Why are they doing this? What do you think?
I think it's a smart move. I mean, there's still money to be had at the movie theaters right now, right? I mean, you
Hmm.
have Creed that's making a ton of money. You have Cocaine Bear that's making a ton of money. Unless you're DC, you're probably not making a ton of money. But there's still opportunity, and they're still leaving money on the table by just putting it to streaming. Yeah, having a theatrical release seems like okay, we can make the money, and then at the end of the day, we're gonna bring them to the streaming service if they don't go to the theaters, and we'll make our money there. It seems like a no-brainer.
I think there's an advertising aspect to it as well. Like Cocaine Bear in theaters to me sounded fun. Just saying this like wacky, something I totally could have waited probably a month and watch at home. But just that movie in theaters, I think sounded cool. So if Apple plans on doing, I know for one of the movies they're talking about is like a crime drama, which I could have sworn was already released on Apple, but it's a Martin Scorsese, Leonardo DiCaprio crime drama where it's like takes place and it's an old detective noir. That's what the word I'm looking for. That does look like a good cinematic masterpiece that might do better by advertising that effect. So hopefully
Absolutely.
that's where they're going to use it.
I mean, you say Scorsese and Leonardo DiCaprio, and you're probably gonna get some butts and some seats, right? Like
I
that
know.
seems awesome. Yeah, I'm definitely want to see it. I mean, even John Wick, like that seems like it's gonna bring a ton of people to the theater.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, and I've seen them at home, but getting to hear it with like the crazy sound and a massive screen, and seeing John Wick like double tap people is gonna be
Oh God.
amazing on a massive theater screen, right?
I forgot when the first John Wick came out, how big of a deal it was the fact that he was double tapping people. It was like it's so real
Yeah,
because like
exactly.
you don't
And
see
he
like
was
Bruce Willis doing
reloading.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, most movies that when I grew up, like, they had like a basic pistol and had like 100 bullets in it. You're like, okay, cool. I guess they never need to reload. That's a thing.
And now I'm so cynical that I count the bullets. I always do it now when I watch a movie where I'm like,
Yeah,
okay, I'm like 7, 8. Okay, this gun's past 8 now. Okay,
right.
what's happening? But yeah, hopefully this is a sign for that. We know Amazon's doing the same thing. They're gonna be paying for movies to go to theaters. Hopefully, it's a new way to revitalize the theater business. One of the big stories I want to talk about is you, me, of course. We cover The Mandalorian over on Challenge Accepted. Link in the descriptions, guys. Follow us over there. We also talk about it every Wednesday night, which I think we're going to expand on that. I haven't brought that up to you yet, but I think we could expand on that.
Oh,
that,
surprise! And I'm
that
down.
reminds me. Yeah. um, so, The Mandalorian Season 3, they brought back a very special character. This is going to be a spoiler for the latest episode, so if you guys don't want spoilers, tune out now. We already have your listen. They brought back Ahmed Best as Kelleran Beq. The great thing about this character is he's the one that saved Grogu or Baby Yoda. Can you kind of explain who this character is and why he's so important?
Yeah, absolutely. It's really cool. So Ahmad Best got his start playing Jar Jar Binks in the Clone Wars. You know, love him or hate Jar Jar, he didn't get a good rep. I didn't mind it. I remember watching that movie as a kid and thinking it was silly, but it was very Star Wars to me. And maybe I'm remembering it more fondly than when I first watched it. But he got a lot of crap for it, to the point where, you know, he was really struggling mentally, and it really affected his emotions and everything. And, you know, it took a long time for him to kind of get out of this state of this hate and this mindset from, you know, people heckling him. So he then was brought back for Kelleran Beq in a kid series. Do you remember what that kid series was called?
Jedi Temple Challenge, I think. I just
Yes.
watched it, but I can't remember the name.
Yeah, yeah, and we just talked about this too. And the show was, yeah, kind of like, what was it, Hidden Temple on
It's a lot like
Nickelodeon?
Hidden Temple, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was like Hidden Temple, but for Star Wars and for kids that could go from Padawan to Jedi. And you got to check it out. It's cool. It's online. It's going around everywhere right now. But, you know, that was a little bit of his redemption. And then he played Kelleran Beq in that show. Now, boom, they bring him into the live action Star Wars canon as Kelleran Beq. And he is the one that pops open. As the elevator doors open, boom, he's there, grabs a lightsaber, saves Grogu. And just a beautiful redemption story in real life. And then also for this character, you know, who arguably could be so much bigger in the main Star Wars universe. It's so cool.
I mean, yeah, where they left off with him, they're going to be off on an adventure. This could be a spin-off. This could be a video game. So many things. They could run into Bad Batch because it's about the right time for Bad Batch,
Oh,
which is
yeah.
releasing new episodes now. So, I mean, if Star Wars wanted, oh god damn it, if Star Wars wanted to blow it out of the water, because Bad
Yeah.
Batch is releasing right now as well, the next episode of Bad Batch they run into Kelleran. How cool would that be?
That'd be awesome. I mean, yeah, Ahsoka's there. You know, what if he runs into Kanan and Ezra Bridger? I mean,
Yeah.
there's like so many opportunities to move forward with this character. Yeah, I'm stoked for him. It's just a cool story in real life. And then for Filoni and Favreau to say, hey, this guy
Yeah.
didn't deserve all of that, what he got in the past. And then now to be like, you're the one that saved Grogu. You're the one who saved the most adorable creature we've got in Star Wars in a long time, other than the Anzellans. But either way, still, like, everybody loves Baby Grogu. Such an awesome move. I really seconded that.
Yeah, it's like such a place of honor. You saved a fan favorite character, and I mean, like, let's be honest, on his own, the guy's wielding two different color lightsabers. He is a full on
Yeah.
badass. His robe's got like gold on it,
Gold
and we
trim.
see that
Oh, yeah.
he's one of the instructors for the kids. Like and his job. Oh man, I rewatched that episode last night, and I didn't catch it the first time, but when he gets to the Naboo ship that's going to save them, and they ask, where are the others? And he says, there are no others. The idea was he was going to save as many kids as possible, and he could only save Grogu, which is like, oh man, that's heartbreaking. You know, damn.
Wow. That is a good pickup. I didn't even think about that. You just like blew my mind all over again with that episode. And I love that episode. So, yeah.
Yeah. So the ship was fully fueled, which means that they planned, this is a planned thing to save those kids earlier than thing going. So something's there. Plus, there's so many questions, right? Because it's Naboo. So Palpatine, who just initiated everything, Order 66, did he have anything to do with that ship being there?
Right, that's a good point. There was also somebody online that was saying maybe it was still Jar Jar that saved them, because we've talked about it. Who were the senators on Naboo? And it was
yeah.
Padme or Queen Amidala. There was
Oh my God, the feels right now.
yeah, but there was also Jar Jar, right? And
Yeah.
he might have been there, and he also would have been sympathetic to the Jedi because he had so many interactions with them. So maybe he was the one that sent the ship. So Jar Jar did save Grogu in a way, you know, if that's the whole thing. So the online rumors could actually be true, but just not in the way we were thinking about it. It's kind of cool. Yeah, I'm stoked. Oh man, so happy for that that guy Ahmed best, and I'm really excited to see what they do with Kelleran Beq.
During our Twitter Spaces, by the way, guys, we dived into the history or the uh, ending of Jar Jar Binks' story, and it is heartbreaking. And we're not going to share it here. You had to listen to the live stream for that, and the recording's still available. But it was heartbreaking, man.
It was so sad. But yeah, absolutely. Join us every Wednesday. Come in and chat. We want to hear what you guys think. We want to hear your theories. And yeah, it's a space for you guys to chat with us.
Yeah. One of the things I realized this last time watching The Mandalorian, the newest episode, knowing that Ragnar is now Paz Vizsla's son means that first scene we got from this season is so much more impactful because he's taking the oath, Ragnar is. It is the last time Paz will ever see his son's face.
Wow.
How much that must hit you as a father. Like, holy cow, that's got to be
That's
impactful.
crazy. It also makes sense why there's that scene where they just focus on Paz and it kind of lingers there for a second.
Yeah.
You know, and you're like, oh, okay. Damn, you saying that though blew my mind because you're right. That's like a Mandalorian thing. You're probably proud because it's a rite of passage, but also, yeah, you're never gonna see your child's face again. That's insane. Yeah, I don't know. Could never be a child of the watch. I'm just saying.
I could.
My helmet would be off all the time. Be like, as soon as I could go out on my own, I'd be like, Psh, "What's up, everybody?" I'd be using it for like a bowl of cereal or whatever. You know, like helmet's off, man.
At best, I'm the armor. At best. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man. That tweet I would have in the buffer too, me talking about like, oh, that's the last time he sees his son. It's funny because I bring it up here, and I think by the time it comes out tweet wise, it should be about the same day as this episode. So everything's in the buffer. What can we learn before we leave on the Mandalorian? I want to make sure to say this real quick. Ahmed Best, he went through a lot of mental strain after the release of the prequels, and everybody really dogging on Jar Jar Binks. He had a hell of a mental strain with that, and really had to struggle with it. I think one thing we can learn from Ahmed Best, like it's so wonderful he's getting this redemption arc, there are countless others who don't get that redemption arc. And so when we're talking smack, which is fun to do, I don't blame you, we need to keep it character based, not personal based. And so just keep that in mind, guys. I know we oftentimes will like to kind of poke fun at things. It's what we do, but just kind of remember that there are people behind the roles. And I think that's something important that we can learn from Ahmed Best right now while we're talking about him again. And so keep that in mind.
Yeah, well said.
Let's move on to Fortnite. Are you a Fortnite player?
I am not, but I've always wanted to get into it. They always do the best collaborations and bring in the coolest characters. I mean, they had, I don't know, the Mandalorian with a Captain America shield and Thor's hammer and all. I'm like, what? That looks so dope. So I've only played it at like cousins' houses, but I don't play it myself. What about you?
It's so crazy. I keep telling John this. Is like, there's one point where I was Batman using Spider-Man's web shooters, something that should never happen. That's what I was doing.
Sweet.
It is really cool. So here's the big news that's coming out right now, and I don't think people fully understand the possibilities of this thing. So Fortnite's creative mode, which is this thing where you can basically create game modes or whatever, little games within it. And honestly, like when kids are playing Fortnite, 99% of the time it's this. It's not the actual main game. They're playing in creative. It's how Roblox is popular too. It's the same thing. It's all about the creative side of things. They're adding the actual Unreal Engine editor into Fortnite Creative 2.0. Meaning, you can't just add Fortnite, or you can add Fortnite assets to whatever you're building, or any other video game development tools used by Unreal Engine editor. So some of the things we've seen already are unheard of. You're like, this is Fortnite, but it looks like God of War with the same texture package and just like insane details. The sky is the limit, and I can't believe how much this is such a big deal and nobody's talking about it. Not enough people are talking about it.
Right. I saw a video. It popped up on TikTok, and they're like, this is what Unreal Engine can do. And then it went into the Fortnite thing, and there's like all new settings where you have to escape a space room or something in Fortnite. Yeah. There's like this massive dragon that's going, and this doesn't look like Fortnite. It looks so good, and just the graphics were insane, and these modes that people are creating and the modes that they're bringing to it, dude, it looks I'm like already signed up. Like I haven't actually done it, but mentally I'm there. I'm ready to play it.
If I were to design a video game at this point, I might start with Fortnite Editor just because, or Fortnite Creative is what it's called. Just because it's so much more user friendly, master that, then take it to the Unreal editor and actually develop a game on my own. But think about what, like, Fortnite Creative is giving you all the tools you'll get if you could just straight up make a game in Unreal, which is one of the most popular engines in video game creation, and just giving you like a stick figure you can work with. It's your Fortnite character. I mean, it's some of the things I've seen have been just, yeah, like the dragon thing. I've seen the dragon thing too, where I'm like,
Yeah.
if you're to tell me that's a brand new AAA game coming out later in 2025, I'd believe you. But somehow it's created in Fortnite. It's just unreal.
Right, and I don't know if you saw it in this example too, but they had Thor. Like the character they were using was Thor going through, and then there's this massive dragon. I'm like, can you imagine being Thor and having Mjolnir, and then creating whatever monsters you want to fight, all the ice giants you want to fight, wherever you want to do it. I mean, it's really freaking cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm a fan already.
I think this makes the game nearly infinite, because if they're able to add anything a game could make essentially into their game, I mean, you can go forever on that. It's not being held back by anything anymore.
Right.
And I think with like some AI implementation where you can kind of have things automatically generated for you a little bit, might just, I mean, Fortnite might not be stopped. This is something huge for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Could go on forever, and it really does lead the door open for whatever people's imaginations can come up with. And that's cool. I think that really puts the power in people's hands. It's like if you had TikTok, but you had all the tools of Adobe Premiere. You could just throw it in there and like, okay, make whatever you want, kids. Which, I mean, we've seen with a little bit of technology and with a little bit of imagination, that's how all these apps blow up. I think it's only going to further the reach of Fortnite, and some of the games people are going to come up with are far beyond any like major developer could think of right now. It's going to be so cool. I think I think it's a good move. Very exciting.
Speaking of, this is not in the notes, of course, but did you see the Hellblade Senua thing they did where they showed the motion cap for that? It's like,
Yes.
damn.
Yeah. Where it was like this girl, she was making these reactions. She's like, I'm scared, I'm sad, or whatever. And then it was like instantly, like they were able to translate it into Unreal Engine into a character.
Yeah.
And it looked like God of War level, like you were talking about. Dude, yes. And they captured it on an iPhone.
Isn't
That was
that
the other
nuts?
part. Yeah, she was like, and they had this big auditorium. They're showing everybody what
Doing it
the
all
Unreal
live.
Engine could do. Yeah, doing it all live, and they're capturing on an iPhone, and then boom, translate it into a character on stage that looks absolutely incredible and detailed. Dude, this is the next level of gaming.
It's so exciting to be at this precedence too. And then we take the stories that we already know, like continuing The Last of Us or whatever, into that kind of motion cap of the face, where you can get like Bella Ramsey's extremely amazing presence on screen, put that into game. I mean, it's the best of storytelling amplified somehow. It's amazing.
Absolutely. A question on that though. Do you think because of the success of the Last of Us show, do you think they put Bella Ramsey's face and then redo it for like they put her face in The Last of Us Part 1?
I don't think they will. There's mods to do it already. People already have Pedro Pascal and Bella in there, but
Nice.
you know what? I wouldn't mind there being just a random setting though. How fun would that be? That would be fun for the number 3 or the remake.
Yeah, absolutely. The only reason I was throwing it out there is because they did that for Spider-Man, right?
Yeah.
In the Spider-Man game, they changed it so he looked more like Tom Holland, and some people were not stoked about it, and some people
They,
were like,
they
"Oh,
ended up
that's
getting a
cool."
whole new actor. I don't think it was for Tom. Was it for Tom Holland? Because I don't remember
I
him
don't-
looking too much.
I don't know if it was for it, but they definitely think they considered, hey, does this actor look like Tom Holland or not? Because
That's fair.
there was a lot of people that were like, he looks pretty much like Tom Holland now, and I know why they did that.
Now that you say that, the old actor looked a lot like Andrew Garfield.
Yeah.
Aha! All right,
Yep.
we get your. By the way, I posted how much I'm like, oh, I love the Miles Morales action figures that are coming out from Marvel Legends, and somebody who's I guess a leaker, I don't have to look into it. They're like, oh, you'll be getting your hands on him pretty soon, somewhere in May something or whatever. Like there might be in a May
Oh.
release, so I'll have to look into that person. I don't know if they're full of shit or whatever, but hey, that would be awesome. That's
My
gonna be a
wife's
big
already
game
going to
for
be
me.
mad at me because I'm definitely buying it.
Oh yeah. Get ready, we're gonna be streaming that. Moving on to more Marvel news. Now I gotta give full props to Thomas here, guys. I read Geek News every single morning and somehow miss this gigantic thing. Marvel President Victoria Alonso was fired amid visual effects criticism and them kind of shaking things up for Phase 5. Can you break down what's going on with this? Because again, you're the one that woke me up to this whole story.
Yeah, so major Marvel executive, and I want to say president of VFX, Victoria
Yeah.
Alonso, was just let go from Marvel. She's been with them for about 17 years, I believe, and
Hmm.
she was already a part of the team, the Marvel Cinematic Universe or Marvel Studios, anyway, since before Iron Man.
Yeah.
So she helped to work on Iron Man. I mean, all the way up until what was the last movie? Ant-Man, I want to say.
Hmm.
And she was just recently let go because she was said to be working on a different movie. And I'm trying to think of what it was, like Amsterdam 1985 or 65, or I don't know. I wasn't familiar with the movie. It was, you know,
Argentina, 1985
okay.
was the movie she was working on.
Sounds perfect. Okay. Yeah, way off. I don't even know what I said, but it wasn't that. Um, and yeah, so she was unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, we'll find out more details, let go from Marvel. They said it was because she was working for a conflicting studio, which breached her contract. She has now since filed a lawsuit against Marvel, or I want to say Disney. It's one of the two. I'm sure if you file a lawsuit against Marvel Studios, you're then filing it against Disney, but. Yeah, I don't know. A bunch of things have come out since. One being that she was very tough to work with. A counter argument has come out from a large person who works at a major publication that says that was not true. So there's a bunch of drama coming out. People online, and maybe some of you who are listening, have thought, yes, this is a good thing because Marvel's quality has gone down in visuals. We can't say it's all because of her, or maybe some people can say it's all because of her. I don't know. It's a lot of little pieces of drama that have come out because of this. So yeah, really interesting news. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
It's tough because yeah, I think on the surface, my reaction as well was like good riddance because man, Ant Man was bad visually, and other reasons. But when you compare it to like Iron Man 1 was so stunning, you're like, well, yeah, she lost her way. That's not fully her fault, and I think industry wide we're seeing a lack of. We were just talking about how great the visuals were in Dark Knight Rises. Compare that to the recent Batman. She doesn't work on Batman, but compare that not to Batman, but like all the Justice League movies and stuff like that. I would say that Dark Knight Rises CGI, while there's less of it, it's still far better than what we got from any of the Justice League stuff, Zack Snyder stuff.
Right.
So it's an industry wide thing. I don't know if it's just her. It's hard to blame her for that.
Yeah, that's true. But in a world where you're getting, and I think I use this example too, in a world where you're getting Avatar: The Way of Water, where the visuals are absolutely stunning and everything is incredible and it looks so real, and then you do compare it to an Ant-Man, whether it's fair or not. I mean, you can't
Yeah.
help but do it watching as many movies as we do. Yeah, you're like, why doesn't this like meet this level, or not, maybe not Avatar, but some of the previous works of the MCU, like even the Avengers. I've gone back and watched the Avengers recently, and the way Hulk looks in that compared to the way Hulk looks in She-Hulk, it's like
Oh
not the
yeah.
same level. It's super weird. So I think that there is a little bit of a quality issue, just personally. I don't know if that's because of her. We can't say, but something, if that's your job, if that's your department, you're in charge of that, and that quality is not meeting, you have to take some degree of blame, I think. And it could be a good thing, but who knows if she was fairly fired or unfairly fired. I think as this lawsuit goes on, we're going to hear a lot more behind the scenes details.
Yeah. A lot of stuff's coming out right now. She's starting to say other things too about the studio.
Right.
And just like everything, we don't know who to believe, and we probably shouldn't take sides necessarily. Just let it all get fleshed out so that the truth comes to the top.
Hmm.
That's tough to do, but because we are so heavily invested in the MCU and know what happens at Marvel, it is Disney that she's going after, not just Marvel. She's actually going after Disney itself,
Got it.
because
Because
it
she had
was
something with
Alan.
Bob. Oh, sorry. Go for it.
It was
Yeah,
Alan
Alan.
Bergman, who's one of the co-chairs, is the one that said fire her. So he's the one that actually gave the
Oh,
order. Yeah, not Kevin. Kevin Feige actually wasn't told at all about this. So yeah.
that also seems a little iffy. You know what? I mean, yeah, say what you want about the MCU, but everybody who's ever worked with Kevin Feige or has met him says he's an amazing guy, super incredible.
Hmm.
But I mean, he's even, when they fired James Gunn, he was like, that was a bad move, which is interesting. It's crazy that he oversees everything and that you could fire one of his employees without letting him know. That just doesn't seem like good business etiquette to me.
Well, especially since you guys give him full reign over creative. So why would you not let him have some of the control over business as well? It affects creative. So
Right.
it's weird that they would like let go of say your visual effects artist when you're ramping up on two Avengers movies coming up soon. That's something you're gonna need to have
Yeah.
control over.
I wonder if that's also why we've gotten, a lot of the Disney Plus shows had dates for their release and now
Mhm.
just say coming soon. I wonder if that has affected all of those. Plus, I wonder if this is going to affect the whole timeline of when movies and shows come out. Because, I don't know who steers that ship. I'm sure there's a lot of talented people that work at Marvel's VFX that could take that role and kind of maybe understand it better, or like of what the artists are asking for. But that's a huge shift. I mean, that's almost 2 decades of leadership that is now gone from that department. So really interesting.
One of the things we've learned recently is that they're going to be bringing all visual effects under their house because they do have their own visual effects thing, but they hire out for a lot of it. And so apparently they're bringing it all in house to create Marvel CGI or Marvel visual effects, whatever it be called. And that might be another reason too, kind of like, hey, this is a good time to clean house, and we're going to bring in. Hopefully they bring in whoever does it on like, not to keep bringing it up, the Mandalorian, because
Yeah.
sometimes I'm just like, even like this whole dragon fight they had, they made sure to make it fast and quick pace so that you didn't pay attention to the CGI, but it
Hmm.
looks really good. I enjoyed it a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think you're right. I think the Mandalorian is killing it as far as visuals go, except for Baby Yoda jumping.
That
But
jump, yeah.
but other than that, I mean, it's been looking pretty good this season. So if you're not watching The Mandalorian, I highly recommend it just for
Yeah.
the visuals and the action because it's been badass.
Yeah, this last one too is like 30 minutes. It's like a perfect intro. It's just for fun, It's nothing too big.
Yep.
All right, let's go over to Shazam. Okay, so we're going to have your Shazam review. Do you want to do the review first and talk about the flop, or do you want to go flop first, talk about the review?
Let's go review first because I
Okay.
think the flop, sadly enough, might be the more interesting story than the actual story of the movie.
Isn't that a shame? Yeah, I know. And so you saw Shazam, and from what I'm understanding, it's not that bad.
I really didn't think it was that bad of a movie. I
Hmm.
went into it with pretty low expectations. I was like, I want to see some cool action. I want to laugh. And check both of those boxes. Like it was a fun ride. I could see what people were saying. Like it didn't quite have the heart of the first movie, but I think that the outside news really did affect, drawing people to the movies to watch it.
Yeah.
It brings back Billy Batson and Zachary Levi, who plays Shazam. It's really cool to see the family dynamic and more of the Shazam family working together. There's like a really cool action scene in the beginning where they have to save all these people from a broken bridge, and all of that seems awesome. You don't get a lot of the kids in this movie, but it seems to make sense when you have these really like high-end actors you have to pay. But towards the end, they take away all their powers, and there's all these enemies running around, or like monsters running around. And I thought that would be a really cool scene to have more of the Shazam family help out again, but they don't do that. So I felt
Hmm.
like that was kind of a miss. They have these really badass actors for the sister or the daughters of Atlas, who are the main villains of
Right.
this movie. You got Lucy Liu, Helen Mirren, Rachel Ziegler, and you're like, okay, they
Stellar.
have this massive. What's that?
That's such a stellar casting right there. That's the powerhouses.
Yeah, absolutely. But then it doesn't seem like they do anything with them. Like they really
Oh wow.
are. I feel like they could have made their story better. And I don't know. I'm not a writer. I don't know what they could have done better. But it just felt like they were a little bit wasted, and it didn't quite have a connection to the actual main character of the story. It all kind of goes back to the first movie where they use that staff, Shazam, the wizard staff. They break it right. Apparently, Billy drops it off somewhere, and then it ends up in Rome or Greece.
Hmm.
And the Sisters of Atlas go there for the staff. Now, for some reason, they end up in Philadelphia, I guess, to get the Shazam family's powers. But it doesn't feel like there's any like actual connection or purpose for. There's no personal what is it tension that goes on between them. So it's really interesting that they chose them for an enemy and the way they set it up. And I don't know
What is
the
their what
main,
is their end goal? Like, what's the urgency of the movie? Like, what are they going for?
and that's the problem. Like I can't really even tell you. I know
Hmm.
that they have this big battle between them and they're trying to take their powers, I guess, but I don't really know why. and they have this apple that's trying to grow this plant in the middle of the stadium, which it's cool to see Philadelphia highlighted. Like, I don't feel like it's a city that gets highlighted on the big screen a lot, so I did like that, but I don't really know why they're doing any of these things, and so that's automatically a problem. The main character doesn't feel like Shazam to me. It feels like the brother Freddy. He's the kid that has the crutch, and
Yeah.
he's a standout in this movie. Oh, sorry, knocked my mic. He's a standout in this movie. He's so funny. I wanted to see his Shazam character more, but he feels more of the main character than Billy Batson in it to me.
I remember the advertising for the first movie was that way, where it felt like Freddy was the main character because he is the one wisecracking everything. And I almost was like, wait, was he the one that was going to get the? Is he Billy Batson in this? When I remember from the first ads, I don't mind them making him a bigger character, but man, yeah, you can't be overshadowing Shazam.
Right. Yeah. And the main character, I mean, the kid who plays Billy Batson, I think his name is Asher Angel. He's a stellar actor. Like, he's really good. And the scenes where they let him, be the emotional kid, he's so damn good in it. But he just doesn't get a lot of those scenes because you have Zachary Levi and everybody wants to see Shazam. So I don't know. I almost feel like this movie was marketed incorrectly. And I also want to say, like, I think that they needed a little bit more time with the kids to be kids, so that when when Shazam pops up, you're like, oh, okay, like this, it feels like him. I mean, it was kind of an issue I had with the first movie where, Zachary Levi didn't feel like Asher Angel as a kid. It felt like two different people.
Yeah.
But I almost want more time for the family to be the family. So when you get these big dramatic moments, it hits harder. I don't know. And then you get this fake out at the end with Wonder Woman.
Should we spoil that?
Oh, shoot. Sorry.
No, should we spoil what happens?
I mean, it's been out for a couple weeks, and I think if you haven't seen it by now,
Yeah, I
You're
think I'm
not-
waiting for HBO Max anyway, so go for it, in my opinion.
yeah, can we put a spoiler warning before this? Maybe
I'm doing it right now, guys. Spoiler warning, turn out. If you guys are still listening, we got you listening anyways, like I'm saying. No,
Yeah.
but pause, go, skip forward 2 30-second jumps. Boom, boom. Go ahead.
Right. Okay. So he sacrifices himself at the end. The Shazam we know, Zachary
shit.
Levi, and he basically they need the staff to awaken him, but you need a god. You need the power of a god to awaken him. And then who shows up? The Wonder Woman comes in. She grabs the
love her
staff. Boom. Yeah, right. The Zack Snyder music for her. But anyways, like pops, slams it in the ground. He awakens, busts out of the dirt. Family hug. And he's like, "Oh, what's up, Wonder Woman?" Because the whole movie, he's like, "Man, I wonder if Wonder Woman will go on a date with me. I wonder if she'll go on a date with me." So like, you kind of get that at the end, and you see her, and basically you're like, "Oh, is Shazam going to join the Justice League?" And boom, that's fake out one. It's basically no, she's not going to date him, and then she just leaves. So you're like, okay. We've gotten Henry Cavill at the end of a movie recently. We've gotten Wonder Woman. We know we're getting Ben Affleck's Batman at the end of, or in Flash. So you're like, okay, is the Snyder verse still alive or is it not? She leaves, and then the next scene is basically the two agents from Peacemaker and the Suicide Squad. So yeah, it's the larger guy who super funny, was talking about bears and stuff, and then it's James Gunn's wife. And I'm sorry, I don't know either of those actors' names off the top of my head, but and they're basically inviting him to the JSA, but not the JSA. It's themselves. It's not Hawkman, it's not Cyclone, it's not Adam, it's not
So
Doctor
it's
Fate.
Peacemaker group, basically.
Right.
So I wonder if that's going to be a new series on HBO Max. Is like JSA, that version, because I know that they're saying like they want to do. Oh no, they're going to do the Amanda Waller series. Man,
Right.
what's going on with DC? Are we not just scrapping this all yet? Like, because I know some of the Peacemaker stuff's still moving forward. Obviously, it's someone's baby.
Yep. And
But
it
yeah,
did
now you
well.
have them tied together. Yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Did the Wonder Woman stuff feel warranted? Like, was she? I know that they're teasing, oh, she'll be here, but like, I know that like she's a Greek god kind of thing. Like she has interactions with them. Did it feel warranted that she would be in this movie at all?
I mean, not really. Other than it kind of filled the button of a joke that was going on through the whole movie. Not really. It felt very confusing and out of place. We also get a teaser of Dr. Savannah with Mr. Mind, that worm. So I think that's what his name is. I might be wrong. But yeah, it just feels so weird. And you're like, what are we doing with this franchise? It sadly, it's a victim of, I think, the announcement of DC's being reset and we're not moving forward with some of this stuff in the past. I don't think Black Adam would have helped it, but it definitely wouldn't have hurt this movie. With
Yeah.
if Black Adam had a teaser that he was going to meet Shazam. And as cool as it was to have Henry Cavill back, if it was Shazam that popped up, I think the hype would have been way bigger. So it just felt so out of place. It was really strange for me.
Let's talk about that now because this movie didn't perform well in the first week, and now it feels like everybody's on "this is why it happened" mode. Nobody more than Levi himself, and so there's this. The Wrap did an article explaining that Shazam was supposed to be the cameo at the end of Black Adam, which makes sense. And it was The Rock himself said no. We seen him do this, and again on Geek Freaks we celebrated when he would do this because at the time DC was so aimless. So we're like, it's at least somebody making calls.
Right.
He went around the boss's head, said no, I want Henry Cavill instead. We're gonna make this universe all about Black Adam versus Superman. And do you think that would have had a negative? There's so many facets to that. Do you think that would have made a better impact on Shazam if he was there?
Yeah, absolutely. Or yeah, on Black Adam, if Shazam was there, it just makes more sense. I think we've talked about it on a different show, or might have said this somewhere else, but it's like having Magneto in a universe fight. I don't know. I'm trying to think of a villain, like Red Skull instead of like
Yeah.
Captain America fighting Red Skull. You're like, why? Like it's cool. I want to see that, but it's like, no. Like talk about the main villains, or like have the main villain and hero fight each other. So it was so weird. I did like it, but also like I thought the Snyder universe is done. I think it just would have helped the movie. I don't think it would have hurt it in any way having Shazam there because now you have a lead in for Shazam where you're like, oh, is Black Adam going to show up? Like, I know he's fighting the
And
Daughters of
have him
Atlas.
show up.
Exactly. And even a little end credit scene where they meet again, or maybe it's the end credit scene from Black Adam, would have been way more hype and way more of a reason to see this because it all ties together. It just feels like it's so scattered and jumbled and there's no connectivity in this DCEU. I'm so happy for the reset. It's just a weird choice.
I'm thinking now, me not knowing any of the Shazam movie story, this is how I would do it, and this is how they would do it in DC Comics.
Right.
You'd have Shazam pop up at the end of Black Adam and address him, and Black Adam saying, "Get the hell out." You'd have Shazam nearly lose at the end of Shazam's movie. Then Black Adam shows up, helps him, as in how Black Adam only helps people is, hey, they're messing with Earth, they're messing with whatever, as in a thing that threatens his people directly, or
Yeah,
him
like Kondok's
directly.
in trouble.
Kondok's in trouble if these people exist, or they're pulling power from Kondok as well. So he steps in, him and Shazam fight side by side, defeat the sisters, then he bounces. That sounds so much cooler to me than what we got, and I haven't even seen it yet.
Yeah, I mean that does. Yeah, I'm on board with that. Like I would love that. Even if he just popped up at the end, threw some punches in there and was like, if they
Yeah.
took over this city, they would have taken over the world and thus Kahndaq, and that's why I had to be here. I'd be like, yes.
Yeah.
But they didn't. Yeah, they didn't do that. It doesn't feel warranted having Wonder Woman in there. I mean, again, and it just completes the joke of the show. But there's no other purpose for it. There obviously is bad blood there. And I don't know. I just feel like this really needs a reset. And it's sad. It's really sad, And like I felt bad for Zachary Levi, but now after seeing this rant that he's gone on online, it's just kind of cringy now. And I'm like, somebody get this guy away from social media for a little bit. Get him off the internet. He's not doing anything to help the movie. And it's crazy because when it hits HBO Max for streaming, I think a lot of people are going to watch it. It's a
That's the
fun
only
movie.
time I'll watch it. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're gonna watch it, you'll be like, it's good, but it's not
Yeah.
great, but it's good.
And he's venting. I get it, but the problem is you're talking to a megaphone right now, and he's got to be frustrated. He's frustrated with The Rock. He's frustrated with DC and the state that it's in. There's this quasi problem that they're dealing with right now, where it's like everything coming out right now feels, for people like myself, I'm not going to watch anything DC until 2025 because why would I bother? And that's not fair because a standalone, well, I mean, DC doesn't, it's their fault for doing this, but because the movies are forced to be connected so much, Wonder Woman pops up, they feel like they have to touch each other, and because now we know that there is no end to this thing and they're not going to touch each other, they seem disjointed. And if it was a standalone like The Batman or The Joker, then I'd watch them for their own merit, but that's not what these movies are anymore.
Right. Yeah, the Elseworld stuff seems to, yeah, like those are all safe. Those are all good because it's a
Yeah.
different universe, different directors, all that stuff. Like that's, yeah, you can go there, you can enjoy it. You don't have to worry about the connectivity of these universes. I think Flash is still going to be really really good because I mean, if you have Tom Cruise like calling up the director saying, "This is amazing. Thank you for making this." Like it's probably going to be pretty good.
That is
But
impressive, yeah.
yeah, yeah. But it's just weird. It doesn't really seem to make a lot of sense. And also, when you have an actor that can go above an exec's head and say, I want this character in my movie," or I want, yeah, or just that. It's not good leadership, and I love The Rock, and that's awesome that he can do that, and power to him, and props to him. But also, it's like, yeah, but you should. I think you missed what Black Adam is, and you missed kind of the point of certain characters. Like, Batman is so awesome because of his rogues gallery, because of a Joker. Like, you want to eventually or get to the Joker because that's what everybody wants to see. Like, everybody wants to see a Shazam fight Black Adam. Like, for me,
Of course,
I I was never a Black Adam fan as much as I was a Shazam fan because I knew Shazam. He was in the Justice League. He had this, he was this badass hero who had all this power like Superman, but he was really a kid in the inside. And I thought that was so cool. I want to see him fight his main villain, Black Adam. The fact that we didn't get there, and they weren't even hinting at it by Shazam's second movie, is so off base. It's like I feel like it misses the point completely. So. Yeah, I'm happy for the reset. Just put it that way.
And you really brought up a good point there because that's one of the reasons Black Adam is so cool is because you take Superman's powers, which there's reason DC literally bought Shazam because he was too close to Superman. He has Superman's powers. Then you put him in a kid body, so you're like, oh, he's innocent and he's carefree and joyful. Then you're like, okay, well now let's put a cynical old man in there that just wants power into those things. Like it's the shift back and forth that makes those characters work so well with each other.
Right.
And the part that bugs me, I like The Rock. I like him a lot. I used to like him in the '90s when he was a wrestler. I like him today when he's the world's most famous actor. But I'm kind of pissed because I'm like, dude, just because you like to be Black Adam so bad you think you look like him, doesn't mean you can change the character. He is Shazam's villain. The fact that you got your own standalone movie was cool, but it's not normal. And yeah, like don't when you run into Superman, when Black Adam runs into Superman, it's after Shazam. Like it's so deep into the roster that he does that, and then it's this cool thing, and then he and Shazam team up to take out Black Adam in that story. So you have to have Shazam a thing, So it's so frustrating that The Rock almost feels like he could just change his character so that he's a star all the time. And it takes me back to like the Fast and the Furious stories where he did that shit on set and I took his side right away because I'm like, yeah, he's The Rock. I don't believe these other guys. And now I'm like, oh, maybe I should.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought of after all this drama came out. I was like, oh, okay, makes sense why, there was drama at the Fast and Furious. And again, I like The Rock. I don't, this is just us speculating here. Don't know it to be true. But it seems like, yeah, it seems like maybe he isn't as easy to work with as he paints it to be. So that is kind of interesting to me too. And say what you want about Marvel and Phase 4 or whatever, but the first phases 1 through 3, they were pretty close to the characters. Like they're very close to the character's origin, and they tried to stay true to it. I think that was such a good move. As Black Adam's a new character, give us the true origin, because even if Black Adam was a massive success, people still want you to fight Shazam. They don't want you to skip to Superman right away. They want you to go to Shazam. Like that's your main nemesis. So it just seems so weird. Again, James Gunn couldn't get in here fast enough and start producing some movies and shows because I have a lot of faith in him. Based on his experience at Marvel and what he's already done at DC.
Yeah, me too. I mean, his Suicide Squad's so freaking cool. I couldn't believe it. I didn't think anybody could save that. And all of a sudden, it's one of my favorites that DC's ever done. So.
Dude, maybe this is a hot take. Did not even mind the first Suicide Squad, that David Ayers one. Hot take.
I didn't. My only problem is I love Diablo so much in that movie.
Yeah.
It pissed me off that he got done dirty. I was like, son of a bitch, make a movie about him. He's so cool.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I'm blanking on Will Smith's character's name right now, but Deadshot,
Like
is it?
Deadshot. Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah, I liked him too. They had a pretty tight comic book design, and boom, introduction of Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn was so spot on. Like there was a lot of good things in that movie. It's like
Yeah.
release the air cut because I want to see what he had planned for it.
Birds of Prey is good too, guys. Have you seen Birds of Prey before?
Yes, that's a good
Yeah.
movie. I don't know why.
And nobody knows about it anymore.
Yeah, I mean, stellar cast, like a cool story, very much like you could see the Harley Quinn animated series got inspiration from this movie
Fully.
because it's all about Harley Quinn breaking up with the Joker and what she does after that. It's like
Yeah.
it was a good movie. I liked it.
Her fight scene in that is one of the best fight scenes I've seen in any of DC movies. It is so she is such a badass fighter in that movie. It's cool.
Yeah, and uses the
Yeah.
big hammer like from the comic.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like comic accurate and fun and badass. It's good. Yeah.
It's got a Scott Pilgrim feel to it too. So if you guys would like the Scott Pilgrim's editing, it's the same kind of editing on that, and I love that shit. So you
Might
might
have to
be
be a
seeing that on
challenge
Challenge
accepted.
Accepted pretty soon, guys.
There you go. Exactly.
The cross promotions. Speaking of cross promotions, this is one of the best segues ever. As for the network news, guys, we're closing out now. So network news, we have a brand new Level Up. Again, it's run by Kyle now. With Resident Evil 4 Remake just releasing, he and his brother Josh, joined by Josh, are covering Resident Evil the original and how impactful it was on the industry and why the story stuck around so long. We have a brand new interview. It's the very first interview done by Diana from the Disney Moms Gone Wrong. It's on the Disney Moms Gone Wrong feed now. It'll be joining the Geek Freaks feed coming this week. There's a brand new podcast coming out soon. It's going to be releasing April 14th. I'm here to announce the name. Who's Got Next? And it's a brand new podcast about competitive gaming amongst couch co-op games. So it's done by It's done by Tyler, who used to be one of the hosts of Round 3, which was all about competitive gaming on the esports scene. This is about how competitive games have evolved over the years, and these are the ones that are more casual, your couch co-op ones. And lastly, I want to make sure to remind you guys, Sacramento Grand Prix, April 15th. We're hosting it over at the West Sacramento convention from Northern California video game developers. Come hang out with us. We're going to be doing all kinds of things that day, but the Grand Prix is going to be dope. And I actually just ordered the medals, first, second, and third, so you guys can win a medal and show it off for all your friends. And that's it for us. What recommendations do you have for this week?
Oh, watch The Mandalorian. It's not getting a lot of viewership, apparently, compared to other seasons, but it's really good. I'm really, really liking this season. So if you've not watched The Mandalorian, like, go check it out. You have like 4 episodes to binge.
Yeah, it's really good, and I think it's not necessarily the best season, but I definitely think it's gonna pay off. It's building up a bigger story than the other 2 seasons have, so I think it's cool. I think we're gonna have one very famous admiral joining up pretty soon. I'm pretty excited to see him pop up on screen.
Oh yeah, definitely.
My recommendation, you guys, is a book called Blood, Sweat, and Pixels: The Triumph, Turbulent Stories Behind How Video Games Are Made. Sorry, I totally botched that name. It's by Jason Schreier, who's an author we use a lot. He works for Bloomberg now. He used to work for Kotaku back in the day. This is a story about some of the crunch times and hardest developments over some of your most favorite games. Please check that out, guys. It's over on Amazon for like $13, but you can get it used. And this is something you guys should remember. You could buy used books on Amazon, and the money goes to the used bookstores that are selling on Amazon for $3.86. Like, it's so cheap right now. And that's Blood, Sweat, and Pixels. Excellent book. Jason Schreier. He's one of our favorite writers.
Very cool.
That is it for us today, guys. Thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you guys next week. Bye.